Clay TV. I'm Elisa, and today we are going to be making some mermaid tails. But I have a quick announcement that I wanted to let you know about. This Sunday in our newsletter, we are going to announce something big that we have upcoming that I think you guys will really like. So, get on our newsletter list. You can do that right here in YouTube under the newsletter link at the top, or you can head over to polymerclaytv.com and sign up for the newsletter there. There's going to be a big announcement this Sunday, so you're not going to want to miss that. So get on our newsletter. So let's get started now and talk about some of the things that we are going to use. Now, you've probably seen these gilding polish on an earlier video we did, and we sold out of them within 24 hours, and they were really popular because they're really amazing. They're not your typical paint, and they're metallic, and they kind of feel like a jello. So they're not runny, they're not, goopy, they're just right. So anyways, I'm going to use those today. We have an amazing new mold that came in. It's a mermaid tail, and it makes it so easy to create these mermaid tails. And then once you create them, you can just keep embellishing them any way you want and get any kind of look. You can add some stones, you could add crystals, you can add seashells. Whatever your taste is, you can do it. You can make these into necklaces, you can make them into brooches, you can make them as part of a seascape, you can use them in home decor, you can make knobs for your kitchen cabinets, anything. That's the amazing thing about it. You can do whatever you want, but I want to show you how easy it is to mold this mold, and then we'll decorate it a little and go from there. So the best way that I found to mold this mold is to create a log. So I've conditioned this piece of clay, and this is actually a half a bar of the souffle in the color robin's egg. So I used a half a bar. I like to work with more clay than less. For me, it's easier. And you might see some little inclusions in there. That's just because it was still on my work table. So, but I don't mind having those opal inclusions, and even if my clay gets a little dirty, I'm gonna be using the gilding polish to really clean it up. All right, so now I see that it's about the length I need, and so I want to cut the end part so that it makes it easier for me to get it into the tail cavities. And so I just give a nice little cut like that with my blade, and I start by putting that part of the clay there, and then these into the channels where the tail is. And then I'm just gently pushing it into the mold. Now, as you can see, I have way more clay than I'm going to need, and this is a half a bar of clay. But I personally prefer to work with more and then just cut away the extra. That way I don't have to keep piecing pieces in there. It just works better for me. But you can certainly do it any way you like. And so I'm just, making some passes with my rod so that I make sure it gets into all the crevices, because there's a lot of beautiful detail on this mold. And then I start to shave off the extra. And I'm using a blade that's not super sharp, because I tend to work better with blades that aren't super sharp, because I cut the silicone. And these molds are made out of silicone. They're hand washable. So you can clean them up real easy. And clay doesn't really stick to silicone, so you don't really have to worry about adding a release. These molds completely flex, so it makes it easy to get it out. If you find that you distort a mold and that bothers you, because you can't just get it right, you can go ahead and bake inside of the mold as well, and then it'll come out perfect. However, if you bake your mermaid tail in the mold, you're not going to be able to add anything into it like a stone or whatever afterwards, because it'll be hard. So you got to think about that. If you're going to add like a crystal or a stone, you want to do it before you bake it. So, but this mold is real easy to unmold. You'll see in a second. So there it is. I've got it shaved up. And what I like to do is I like to place it face down on my work surface and give it a little push so it kind of sticks to my work surface, and then peel backwards until I have my design removed. And there you have it. Easy peasy. Let me move away any extra pieces. And how pretty is that? And it's pretty on its own. But we're going to decorate it a little. Let me just grab a piece of deli paper here to make it. I'm going to do this upside down, but these paints are just so wonderful because it almost looks dichroic, and you don't need a lot. You can use what's in your lid and just put a little on your finger if there's some in your lid, and you just want to give it a little swipe, you know, all over. Pick up that texture of the scales, come on down to the tail part, and by adding the different colors, and you can pick it up if you need to, you know, whatever works for you, because you don't want to just have it on the surface, you also want to have it on the side, you know. Let me get a little more paint here. That's probably too much. And so you can, you know, fill in around the sides of it. So you obviously want to have a paper towel handy for this one. And so once I get a nice little layer of that, I'll go ahead and add another one, another color. And you know, even though that this is a blue piece I'm working on, this blue is still going to look really nice on top of it and add to it. See how gorgeous that is? It just highlights it perfectly. And these polishes, they dry really fast. We are, like I told you, we're sold out of them, but we've reordered them, and we've reordered 11 colors, I think it is. So we got some more gorgeous, sumptuous colors coming, and hopefully they'll be here by the end of this week. They do come from the United Kingdom, so, however, since we ordered so much, they ship it UPS. So it should be here fairly soon. We ordered, like I said, like 11 colors or something. And there you have it. Look at how beautiful. Okay, so naturally you would let this dry if you want to add some kind of stone to it. You would want to, in fact, you may want to add the stone first. Now, you have limited space if you're going to embed it. Like a crystal would fit in there perfectly. However, I was thinking I wanted to add one of these really shiny, fun, you know, I'm not really sure what they're called. I've heard the word druzy, but I don't know if these are druzy quartz or not. I got them at Michael's. And, you know, when you have something like this, you have to think about how you could get it to stay. Now, these might be a little big for this to get it to stay. However, you could glue them on top just with some weld bond and then build up around it. And let me show you what I mean by that. You could start creating, this would be a good time to use an extruder. You could extrude pieces and wrap it around. You can start adding leaves and flowers or seaweed. And, you know, so you can piece it and make your design so that it becomes attached to the tail. If you can't, and this is in case you can't embed it. So this is a way to do it if you can't embed the crystal because, you know, it's too big for the piece or whatever. So you can just start building up any which way you'd want. You could add little seashells. There's actually a seashell mold in our shop. And if you wanted to add some seashells, that would be really cool. You can use your rubber tools to help with shaping and piecing. I'm working upside down, well, kind of far away from me, so it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, so just bear with me. So the clay will stick to the stones, and I've had pieces last for many, many, many years this way. As long as you get a nice adherence to the clay, you'll be fine. They'll stay. And you know, you can pick it up and put something on the back there as well. That's what I would do. So off camera, I went ahead and kind of finished this up where I just added the clay, added some on the back, just a flat sheet, and kind of smooth it down just to get it ready to go. Now, I have this other mold, and this is the henna. I think that's what it's called. I'll put it on the blog at polymerclaytv.com, and you can check it out there. But I had this little piece that looked good, so I thought I'd put that across there, kind of just to, one, hold this better, and two, to decorate it a little so it wasn't so plain. And you could continue to decorate to your heart's desire. I just wanted to show you, you know, how to go about doing it. So I basically embedded the stone in there. Like we talked about, you can add a little weld bond, which will help to keep it in there, but it's not going anywhere. I've had stones in the clay like this for years. So don't worry too much about it. Just make sure that it's not loose and coming out. So these are what screw eyes are, and this is actually a really big screw eye. You don't, unless you're doing like a wall hanging or something like that, this one's pretty big. However, I couldn't find my little small ones because I think they're in the house. And it's actually better for you to see. It has like little, it's like a screw, it's threaded on the end. And these work really well with polymer clay. And so you could stick these into the side, you know, like over here, and one over here, and now you've got yourself a place where you can hang a necklace from. So you would just add your chain on like so. But obviously, you know, you would use a much smaller one for jewelry. And so this is the mold. I just molded this little piece. But we talked a little bit earlier about how if you wanted to add a crystal, which is actually closer to the size where you don't have to build something, you can take some kind of poker, or this is a rubber tool, and you can start to create a opening for a place to insert the crystal. And so you want to do this gently because you don't want to distort your whole piece. And you might have to rock it back and forth. And you know, you'll have to put your crystal in there and play with it and see how it works. And just kind of work it in there until you've got it, you know, so that it feels like it'll stay in there. You might get a little distortion, but you can fix that. And that's actually perfect. Right there is perfect. So I'm using my hands and I'm going to squeeze this. I'm not using any weld bond at this point. I don't feel like it's necessary, but if you want to, by all means, pull your crystal out and add some weld bond in there. Actually, the weld bond's in the house too, so you would just drop it a little in there. You could use something like Sobo glue. There's this other one. The weld bond it is really good, but Sobo is too. Sobo can go in your oven so as well. So that's always nice with the Sobo glue. This is like seriously dried out. So we're not going to use that one today. Anyway, you would drop your glue in there if you want to glue it. But that's totally up to you. If it doesn't feel like it's going to come out, then you don't have to glue it, because the clay will pinch in and hold the crystals in most cases. As long as you get a nice snug, you know, tightness around the crystal, you should be fine. And so that's really all it is to embed a crystal or to add to something that doesn't actually fit within the mermaid tail. You know, it's really fun to incorporate different things. You can obviously leave it by itself. You can add crystals, you can add stones, you could add pearls, anything your heart desires, really, to make it your own. And it all starts with, you know, just making it simply out of using a silicone mold, adding a little of the gilding polish or paint or powdered pigments or whatever your heart desires, and then, you know, adding your stones in. And these kind of necklaces fetch quite a nice amount on Etsy. I've seen different mermaid tail necklaces, and you know, people are getting good money for them. So if you sell on Etsy, this might be something to add to your line, because you can do so many different things with it. You could even add words to it. We have some word stamps, and you could put dream or hope or swim or you know, glide, whatever it is you want, just to make it fun and unique and you know, your own. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a nice starting point on where to go with your mermaid tails. And don't forget, you can still sign up for Polymer Clay Adventure 2017, which kicks off on January 1st. And this year, all of the classes are going to be available on day one. So there's no more waiting for any classes. All 24 classes will be available on January 1st for you to enjoy and you know, learn all kinds of things. So you can check that out at polymerclayadventure.com. We'd love to have you join us in polymerclaytribe.com, which is our Facebook group where you can upload photos and share things you've made and get to meet new friends. And it's just an amazing group. So come join us over there. And if you want to find the mold, that's in our shop at createalong.com. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.